Welcome back and happy Tuesday. This week, we're going to be talking to you about embedded finance. And really, we've talked about this topic before, but this week we're really going a level deeper about how it's changing all industries, what that looks like. So we have a very special guest this week in Mariquit Corcoran, who is the Global Chief Innovation Officer, Group Chief Innovation Officer of Barclays. So Mariquit, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Scarlett, for having me. Happy to be here.
It's something I know we've talked about it a bit. Embedded finance, you care a lot about. So with your role, one of the things that I love is getting people like you who have this global perspective. So you have the US, you have Europe, you have India from your and beyond. So when you have from your lens, when you think about the applicability of embedded finance across geographies, what does that look like for you?
Embedded finance is creating new journeys that are solving real-world problems. We talk about this all the time. It allows for seamless experiences that's reducing friction and providing customers with more options on how to pay for the goods and services from their favorite retailers. So talk about the music industry, for example. You don't necessarily connect that to finance, but there's a lot of innovation going on in that space, particularly in embedded finance. For example, it's giving content creators and musicians the tools to better manage their brands and their finances. There's a lot of dissatisfaction today with the current system. Getting paid by concert promoters can take a long time. And there's a lack of transparency, meaning artists can't budget, their banks can't rate them for credit. Sometimes even seeing what you're owed is difficult. And there are innovative companies out there trying to address this, and embedded finance is being used to open up new opportunities for musicians to gain independence from the industry. As a company called Cobalt. Cobalt is simplifying a complex system for independent musicians who rely on royalties that are not predictable. They're building a system where artists can forecast earnings faster, increase their cash flow. They're helping artists define a basic financial framework to make it easier to predict their financial unknowns. Then there's another company called Dice. They're using embedded finance to simplify and streamline the promotional and performative process. They're putting more money in the pockets of artists and bypassing the middleman. Dice is giving music fans access to a quick, seamless purchase system. It's helping fans discover gigs and artists. It's improving the sale of merchandise and tickets to live streams while empowering the personalized experiences for the fans and insights for the artists. These new sort of changes that both Dice and Cobalt are making is to embed, pun, right? To embed the new customer journeys and new data into the fabric of the music industry. So now let me look at a completely different geography. Let's talk about what's going on in India. Agriculture, completely different space that embedded finance is impacting. Startup like Farm Guide, for example, they're using embedding intelligence into financial services for the farming community there. They're creating farming data stack accessible by both the public and private sectors, including the geographical distribution of farms across the country, interpreting it from satellite data and other information describing the farms in detail. This data can then be used by farmers, banks, insurance companies, and state governments to model a wide-ranging set of outcomes from crop success to insurance risk on a farm-by-farm basis. I mean, by embedding financial services, new customer journeys that solve real-world problems for customers are possible in many sectors, as a couple have highlighted. We're talking retail, health, education, transportation, agriculture, and more.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like it's so easy for people outside of the financial service industry to think about when we use words like embedded finance applying to us, but you gave two totally polar opposite examples of a farm in India with agriculture to the music industry. It's funny, right? Like the music industry is one that I've been hearing a lot more about. And this is when you know that worlds start colliding. So in my previous life, I have a lot of friends in the modeling industry, music industry. So I've been getting pinged so often around like fintech applications for artists and musicians, dancers, people like that. So that's what I love. Like you're starting to see the intersection of we're all humans at the end of the day. So you're seeing this now kind of collide, and people are like, "Hey, Scarlett, how does this apply?" Because all they know is I'm in finance. They don't know anything else about what I do, right? Which is pretty special. So I think we've talked a lot about, and you gave great examples of what the opportunities look like. But when we think about, because this is something that I struggle with a little bit, when you think about where we've come with embedded finance, where are some of the gaps? Where are opportunities to grow more?
I think there's still a ton of opportunity in point of sale financing. So you talk about areas I get excited in, right? I think this whole scenario is a win-win-win for the banks, the startups, the consumers. I get excited by innovation that changes the way day-to-day people like me, you, our parents, our families, our friends can actually perform the things that they do, right? When you pull out a phone, pay for something on an app, that's all possible because of embedded finance. And the everyday consumer, like you and I, already benefit from this. Yeah. I'm excited about point of sale finance and how much more this can actually develop more customized experiences for customers. It'll improve their experience. It'll help merchants grow the customer loyalty, deepen the customer relationship. Merchants can use this data later to personalize even more personalized customer experiences. It really just works in all the different branches, and it's a win-win-win for everyone. I think it's going to streamline all of these processes, whether you're just paying for an item or you're applying for a loan. Things that used to be very complex are going to be a lot easier, and that really excites me because that's going to impact everybody we know, including ourselves and people around us.
Yeah, so you talked, I think, two key things there: streamlined and simplified, right? And that's why, again, what I just talked about a little bit before is the idea that people have these simplified, streamlined experiences across what they do on a day-by-day basis, and they expect the same from their financial institution. So to me, that makes total sense. Obviously, you are very passionate about this. You can feel that by hearing you speak about this. When Mariquit cannot sleep at night, of course, you're going to be thinking about embedded finance. What excites you the most? What do you think about?
Else? I'm excited on the day that I can pull up my phone and perform I'll make up a number, 3 transactions that I thought would have been very complex, that would have required forms, applications, a lot of manual work, a lot of back and forth and waiting. And I can tap the way we make payments on our phones now, the way we can send messages to our friends and families on our phones now. I'm excited about the point when embedded finance and other technologies make that super simple, make that super seamless. And what used to be complex becomes easy. And to me, that's what fintech and innovation is really all about. And that's what's exciting me.
And so how does that manifest itself in your day-to-day role with what you're doing at Barclays?
So part of my work at Barclays is looking at companies around the world through our networks, through our RISE platform, and looking at innovative solutions that can contribute to what Barclays is doing for their customers, their clients, even our colleagues, and finding ways to partner with them, invest in them, and figure out ways that we can do things that'll improve our businesses and our own offerings at Barclays. Earlier this year, the Barclays U.S. Consumer Bank announced a new strategic partnership with Amount. Amount is a leading technology provider for financial institutions. We partnered with them to expand its point-of-sale financing suite. It is a growing market for us. As you may have seen, we are the point-of-sale financing engine for Amazon in Germany, which is the second largest e-commerce market in the world. And our CEO, Jess Daly, recently announced in our Q1 results earlier this year that we've just extended that contract to be their point of sale financing partner now in the United Kingdom. It's an area that I think is just getting started, lots of growth and opportunity ahead, and we're really excited about it.
Yeah, sounds like some, a lot to start with there when you're starting with names like Amazon and countries like Germany moving into the UK. So Mariquit, there's so much that we could go over here, but we want to be limited with time. So to leave the audience with more. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here. And for all of you, please read the full Q&A below like we do every week. There's lots of good things down there. Mariquit goes into a fair amount of more detail about this concept of embedded finance, what Barclays is doing, and how she thinks about the world. As always, stay tuned until next week. We'll have something else coming for you.
Thank you, Scarlett.
Thank you.